Welcome to our Town of St. Andrews regular council meeting, Monday, December the 4th at 2023 at 6:30 p.m. on the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in the council chambers. The first thing is a recording of attendance, and all are present with Councillor Bennett is online, and so is Councillor Blanchard, sorry, Councillor Bennett. Councillor Blanchard is online and the mayor is online. So I welcome you tonight, and I want to state that we welcome you and we recognize that we are on the unceded territory of the traditional Peskotomuhkati people and under the umbrella of the Wolastoqey people. I need an approval of the agenda as so written. Councillor Heenan and Councillor, I need a seconder. Councillor Neal. All those in favor? Aye. Did you have a question? Oh, sorry. Okay. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there anyone that has a problem with one of the things that we're doing tonight? No, I don't see any hands, so there is no conflict of interest by everyone. We have a presentation tonight, and I welcome Jim Stuart, the Executive Director of Neighbourhood Works, for their presentation. We went up there last week and saw Neighbourhood Works, and he's going to present so that everyone will know what Neighbourhood Works is. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I know it wasn't a very nice night to come out.
Well, thank you very much for having me. So I wrote a script similar to the one you've already heard, but I'll just stick to the script because if not, we'll probably be here for 3 hours, and I know you don't have that kind of time. So my name is Jim Stuart, and I'm the Executive Director of Neighbourhood Works, formerly known as Charlotte County Group Homes, and I've been the Executive Director for the past 23 years. So our mission is we will work with diverse individuals, families in the community, overcome barriers and enhance quality of life. We will do this by fostering social inclusion, developing skills and abilities, and collaborating with our partners to facilitate access to a range of flexible and responsive programs and services. We envision a strong and inclusive neighborhood in which community members fully participate in opportunities which enhance well-being. Neighbourhood Works is a nonprofit organization governed by a volunteer board of directors from various communities throughout Charlotte County. In 1985, we opened our first inclusive facility for children and youth ages 12 to 18 years in the care of the Minister of Social Development. In the fall of 2019, the Department of Social Development requested our organization develop a special resource for large sibling groups ages 4 to 11. That required out-of-home placements. Typically, these young people would be separated into 2 or 3 foster homes. NWI bought a house, hired a couple to take on the parent role, and have now created a forever home for these 5 children. It is difficult to measure what this type of stability has done in the lives of these 5 children. This proved so successful that in the fall of 2021, we opened our second home for a group of 6 siblings. No other organization in the Atlantic provinces are doing this. In 2021, the board and senior management decided to expand the vision, mission, and service offering of Neighbourhood Works through a rebranding exercise. We had a growing awareness that there was an expanding gap in services happening in our town and our region based on our organization's own experience, the observation of community partners, and information sources such as Statistics Canada. In September of 2021, we purchased the old Holy Rosary Church at 59 Union Street that now houses our agency's head office. This Coming Together Neighborhood Center will act as a service hub for the community, enabling access to a range of activities, programs, and services. This public space is bringing a significant number of community agencies and groups together in one single location. The vision is to improve lives, build relationships, eliminate barriers within the community, and facilitate social change by encouraging and strengthening joint work between and among the community. This site that is owned by Neighborhood Works will be the engine room for significant collaboration with other agencies, organizations, and individuals. Having a central location will meet more people in need, make access faster and timelier, expand impact and benefits of skills and capacities of various agencies to help all of us maximize the use of our community resources. Further, the synergy created at this site will support transformational change in many lives. And at this time, before I finish, I'd like to show a short video.
Imagine the town of St. Stephen being known as a place where no one is ever left behind. A place where every resident has equal access and opportunity to the road to success. A place where every man, woman, and child can find a safe place to live, a good meal, a job, and the ability to acquire the skills and training to be at their best. A place, regardless of who you are, where you came from, could live with dignity, be treated fairly, and have the means and abilities to participate in the development of our town. Personal circumstances such as poverty and unstable housing and conflict and addictions, mental illness, abuse, and trauma are just a few reasons why some people get left behind. But knowing this, a nonprofit organization is doing their best to make sure everyone is equipped with hope. Neighborhood Works has been providing solutions for youth and their families for the past 35 years, but they want to do more. They bought themselves a big vacant church property right here in St. Stephen, and they are about to fulfill their long-term vision of creating a community service hub for people who are looking for a path to a brighter future. They have put together a group of designers, engineers, and professionals to transform this property into a place where people can feel welcome, feel safe, attend classes and workshops, and have access to vital services all under one roof. It will be a hub where several community agencies can come together in one building and provide counseling, transitional housing, life skills training, and much, much more. What was once the large church sanctuary will now become a two-story, energy-efficient, multi-use service hub. The space will be designed with a center streetscape with office and meeting spaces on both sides. It will include a public boardroom and a multimedia room for distance learning, education, and workshops. There will be a gallery for neighborhood artists to display and market their art. The existing church community hall and kitchen will now become a multi-use neighborhood event hall where cooking classes and community dinners, health and wellness workshops, and an emergency warming center can be offered. The church rectory and classrooms will be transformed into transitional housing bedrooms, private community bathrooms, meeting and teaching rooms, laundry facilities, and a clothing boutique. This new facility will not only provide the community a unique opportunity to access a variety of supports and services. This gathering and learning center will go a long way towards solving some of the issues that keep people from prospering. This beautiful building can once again stand proud and create real positive change in people's lives. Folks, I invite you to come and be a part of this transformation. Let's make sure our fellow citizens are never left behind.
So some of our accomplishments to date: we started a community supper. This is completely done by volunteers and at no cost to anyone. Some people ask if this is making a difference in food security, and we say absolutely not. What we are doing is making sure a few people are not hungry that night and that they may be able to afford groceries for the remaining week. What the community supper really does is bring people together, create a sense of belonging and fellowship, but most importantly, connections to people and services that they may otherwise not connect to. To date, since July of 2022, we've served more than 25,000 meals. Last December, we opened the the Cold Warming Center, to which we are very proud of. With that, we were able to significantly affect the lives of 71 distinct individuals with only having a 15-bed capacity, 67 from Charlotte County. This program was funded by the province under housing. Because of the Out of the Cold Warming Center, we were able to employ a street outreach worker. I am pleased to announce that we have guaranteed funding for this position until September 2026 from the Department of Social Development under their Housing and Homelessness Strategies Department, as well as guaranteed funding for a second street outreach worker until September 2026 for the Eastern Charlotte and the Islands. This past summer, we introduced Youth Launch, a skill-based program for individuals who fall under NEETS. NEETS stands for youth ages 15 to 20 are not in employment, education, or training situation. In Charlotte County, this represents 1 in 5 individuals, or 19.7%. We employ a case manager, and this program is funded by private donations and corporate donors without provincial dollars. We are most excited about receiving the operational funding for our 8-bid youth transitional housing program for the Department of Social Development. This is a youth-led, goal-oriented program developing life and work skills in a supportive environment. Did you know that 38% of all homeless individuals in New Brunswick were once children and youth in care? We are hoping to have the first bed available in January of 2024. Neighborhood Works will be hiring 2 full-time case managers to assist the youth in obtaining their respective goals. The funding has been secured for the next 18 months. Attached to the Youth Transitional Housing Program, we've secured funding for a youth outreach worker for all of Charlotte County. The emphasis of this program is diversion. Like all of our outreach programs, we work first point contact prior to youth or others coming into housing or requires housing. So in all of these cases, if there's any way we can prevent youth or others from coming to needing housing, then that is where we will work. So for example, it may be working with parents who are fed up with their 16-year-old. It may be working with landlords to prevent eviction. NWI is also very proud and humbled by our neighbors in supporting these programs and the impact it is already having on the citizens of Charlotte County. So Neighborhood Works has developed a plan and strategy for this project. We engage professionals and many community stakeholders. We have dedicated significant resources towards making this vision into a reality. For Charlotte County, this contribution will yield both a social and financial return on investment that will pay dividends for generations. In the past 3 years, we have quadrupled our programs and services and tripled our staff. We currently have over 100 volunteers and counting. In the past 3.5 decades of service, we have developed many strengths and resources geared toward helping young people move forward in their lives. At Transitional Housing and the Service Hub, individuals will move to a place of increased stability in their lives. They will gain skills to make effective choices and to set and obtain goals. They will learn to better manage relationships in their lives. This is a social return on investment. The financial return on investment comes in several ways. These citizens will move away from social assistance, will have less reliance on emergency services. There will be fewer incarcerations and conflict with law and less frequent hospitalizations. At the same time, individuals accessing services will move towards levels of higher education, expansion of skills, increased employment opportunity, and increased stability to be able to maintain employment. Directly because of services provided at Transitional Housing and Service Hubs, individuals who have lost their footing will find their place in our neighborhood and begin to contribute both socially and financially to their communities. I do have a full proposal and I'll leave with council for its consideration. We would be asking for a $45,000 investment over 3 years. And I want to thank you for your invitation to speak with you this evening and would be pleased to respond to any questions you might have at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Stuart. And I know that when I went up, I was really impressed with all the work that you have done. You've dedicated a great deal of your service to this, and you are doing an awesome job. So definitely, we will be discussing this at a later date, but we will get back to you. And I would like to know if there's any questions from council tonight or any mention. Councillor Hurdle.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. And thank you again for the presentation. Again, as you know, that I've been following your organization for a long time with great interest. And I, again, can speak firsthand about the good work that you're doing in the community. And you thrown in some numbers at us, and I just wanted to kind of reiterate one where you mentioned that in Charlotte County, folks in NEETs or not in education or in training of that variety are 19.6%. 19.7%. And the provincial average is somewhere around 12% right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so significantly higher here. In your time with the organization and trying to forecast forward, do you see this more obstacles as we move forward, more difficulties, more people that are seeking assistance as we go into the colder months?
Well, definitely as we go into colder, if we talk about around homelessness, you know, and you know, we don't talk a lot about our youth homeless. Those are couch surfing, those that are, you know, precariously housed, is particularly a lot of our homelessness doesn't come out with our female populations, and it's sad because they'll stay in abusive relationships or really not good relationships because, you know, there isn't that out. But I believe, and again, we haven't been around long enough to have actual statistics that I can say these are definitive numbers, but from the individuals that we speak to currently, I think those numbers have risen. We see more people that we've never seen at our door this year than we did last year. The number of youth again is a shifting number because it's difficult. Again, because of couch surfing, COVID really, you know, like turned our heads in seeing these. You know, we've been providing services to youth for, well, 38 years now. And we've always said that that's what we called it 16itis. You know, you turn 16, everyone knows everything when they're 16. You know, I still do. So, but really that's where it comes. And then people would leave care and then try to get back. I'm very thankful now that the Family Service Act is trying to increase those kids to 25 to maintain. I mentioned to you fellas too about kids who age out of care, but we've never aged out of our families, right? So that's a big barrier. Transitional housing, again, you know, we service from Sussex to St. Stephen to Macadam and the island. So that will encompass, you know, some of those individuals as well. So it's hard, you know, to speak precisely to the numbers, but anecdotally, it seems like they're higher.
You also mentioned your partnerships as well, and we were speaking specifically about vulnerable people, especially women that are vulnerable in that demographic. But your partnership with the Sophia Recovery Center as well should be noted. Talking about employment and training for employment on the flip side of what you offer, have you been in communication with employers in the area that are interested in what you offer?
That is part of what Youth Launch. We did meet with the Chamber of Commerce in St. Stephen, and those are things that we will be developing as we move forward. Certainly, those are things that are needed with the youth transitional housing as well, which will be mainly 16 to 22, could go to 25, but we have to be careful about, about ages of, you know, like 25 with 16-year-olds, you know, we still have to balance those things out and make sure that it's appropriate. The one thing I will say that is about particularly the youth transitional housing is that this is a program that's worked in Moncton for 19 years with an 82% success rate. So we're not reinventing anything. We have access to all of that. It is a goal-oriented program where the day you walk through the door, you're discussing how you leave the door. And those are goal settings, and every day and every almost moment you have action steps that you have to fulfill to get to that. And it is a program that people aren't just dumped off at the door and said, here you go. You have to want to be there and you have to work towards being there. And if not, then somebody else, maybe. That doesn't mean you can come back 6, 8, 10, 20 times. You know, it's all trial and error, but if you're not in the right headspace, part of that is you do have to also be working actively on any of your addictions or those sort of things and counseling. So it's not, and I say this in public because that's what some people think, right? People just get dropped off and you're doing certain things, but this is a specific goal-oriented action step program.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for all your organization's doing. And as more importantly, thank you specifically to what you're doing. I know none of this operating in the space or working in the space is easy or straightforward. So I know you've been working tirelessly at this for a long time. So thank you very much.
Me
for
and a
your
lot of
dedication.
others, so.
Right. Thank you.
Counselor Harlan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Akachi. Jim, I so appreciate you coming to speak with us today. I've worked with Jim for many, many years and watched programs develop under his leadership and have really appreciated that working relationship. I wonder, in terms of the model for Neighbourhood Works, I am aware of many of the components being done in other places, but I'm not aware of any model in this province that brings all of those components under one roof.
There is a small one in Shediac that they opened a couple of years ago
Okay.
that is a little bit model. A lot of what we've looked at is Calgary, Toronto,
Okay.
those sort of places.
Yeah.
Now, there is the UES out of St. John, but they're in a bunch of different buildings. And
Right.
that's sort of what our youth launch program is modeled after. Again, there's no point in reinventing the wheel when it's working
Absolutely.
somewheres. So yeah, I think this will be unique to New Brunswick in regards to really that kind of multi-generational service hub. We've had lots of interest from your former department that you worked for and social development and income assistance, whether it's a hotel office that we're here one day a week or whether it's just 2 hours a day or whatever. So that's kind of where we're looking at. And I continue to say this, I'm getting to the point where I should retire and I really don't want to do anything anymore, but I'd love to give you the space to do it in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also our business model, being able to keep the lights on is by
Right.
those that can afford to help with rent or
Right.
whatever. Yeah, so there has been a number of organizations that are interested in coming under the roof. I just don't like to say that because some of them are in leases and.
Sure. But I think it's really exciting that this model is being rolled out in Charlotte County.
Well, you know, Charlotte County,
I
it's
do.
always been a
Leading
pilot
edge.
or, yeah.
It's wonderful. Wonderful to see.
Appreciate
Thanks, Jim.
that.
Thank you, Counselor Harland. Anyone else? Mr. Spear?
Just a quick question. In regards to the pledge, were you looking for it to start in 2024?
I was expecting it to start last week. But, it's like, when do you plant? The perfect time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago, but if not, we'll take it today.
Anyone else? If not, then I thank you, Mr. Stewart, for
Thank
coming
you.
out tonight, and I thank you for your information, and we will be in touch.
All right.
And you do great work. Thank you. All right, council. We have listed a second presentation, but we are going to move that to a closed session. So because it is on land issue, so that will move to closed session at the end. So we're moving on. So F is approval of the minutes of previous meeting. So if you have anything of interest to any of the minutes that were written, otherwise we'll go through them like we normally do with the mayor at super speed. I don't see any, so let's begin and we'll go through them. All right, so we need a mover and a seconder and to vote on the minutes of the 231106 public hearing of objections to bylaw number 23-04 BIA bylaw on Monday, November the 6th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Do I need to read the recommendation? No. Okay, so I need a first and a seconder. First, Counselor Heenan, seconder, Counselor Bennett. Let's ready for the question. All those in favor, aye. Contrary minded? Carried unanimously. So the second one is the minutes of the 23/11/06 regular council meeting on Monday, November the 6th, 2023 at 6:45 PM. Could I have a motion, firster, Counselor Neal, and second, Counselor Harlan? The question is, all those in favor? Right, and contrary minded? Carried. The third one is the minutes of the 23/11/07 special council meeting on Tuesday, November the 7th, 2023 at 6:30 PM. I need a first. Counselor Heenan, seconder, Counselor Hurdle. Here, the question is, all those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. 4, minutes of the 23/11/22 public hearing of objections to bylaw number 23-05. I need a first, did I miss it? Subdivision bylaw on Wednesday, November the 22nd, 2023 at 6:30 PM. I need a firster, Counselor Bennett, second, Counselor Hurdle. The question, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Carried unanimously. Number 5, minutes of the 23/11/22 public hearing of objections to bylaw number 23-06, procedural bylaw on Wednesday, November the 22nd, 2023 at 6:45 PM. I need a firster. Counselor Heenan, second by Counselor Neal. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Number 6, the last one. Minutes of the 23/11/22 regular council meeting on Wednesday, November the 22nd, 2023 at 7 PM. Firster, Counselor Gumichelle, seconder, Counselor Bennett. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Communications, there is no communications. Staff reports, that brings us to you, Mr. Spear.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for this opportunity to present some of the going on initiatives of the town staff and council of St. Andrews. The Christmas season is upon us as celebrations got underway the past 2 weekends. The lights look fantastic and the events have been well attended. Following is the affairs of your local government. Under council, congratulations to Deputy Mayor Akaji, who's the recipient of 2 prestigious honors. On November 23rd, she was awarded the Order of New Brunswick by Lieutenant Governor Brenda Murphy. It is the highest honor of the province to recognize individuals who have demonstrated excellence and achievement and who have made outstanding contributions to the social, cultural, or economic well-being of New Brunswick and its residents. Then on November 25th, she received the Raymond Murphy Memorial Award, which is presented annually to a member municipality volunteer, elected or non-elected, who has shown outstanding dedication of his or her services to the municipality. Both are in recognition of her lifetime of service to both the St. Andrews area and to the Indigenous peoples of New Brunswick. Congratulations, Kate, on the well-deserved honors. Over the weekend of November 24th to 26th, members of council and the CAO attended the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick annual conference in Fredericton. This is an opportunity for elected officials from all corners of the province to get together to discuss similar concerns and attend seminars that inform them of a multitude of aspects that affect municipalities, from governance to operations. The days were long as they went from 7:30 a.m. to evening, but they had a chance to meet with other mayors and councillors to discuss like items and trade ideas. In tonight's package is a motion to upgrade our RCMP presence from 3 to 5 members. Currently, we're under 2 policing contracts. As a result of local governance reform, council has the option to consolidate them both into one, which will save the new town approximately $100,000 per year. This will not mean we have additional officers within our local area, however. The planners are close to getting background information completed for the municipal plan, rural plans, and zoning bylaw update. There is a tremendous amount of information to go through from multiple sources and then consolidate it into a reader-friendly format. They're aiming to bring those to council in January to start the next phase of the process. Neighborhood Works presented tonight on the excellent work being accomplished by this organization. They are based in St. Stephen, but provide services to any in need throughout Charlotte County. We are also having a presentation by Mylene Vincent of the Housing Hub, who wishes to act as a consultant, both for acquiring finances as well as assisting with the project's tendering in order to develop the land behind the New Brunswick Community College. Administration. The new website is under review by staff before providing council with a chance to peruse it and provide some more input before its full release. We've gone through multiple reiterations and updates as we have come up with the final product. Mervyn Henselpecker and Paul Knopper have led the charge with the consultant in providing updated content and deep reviews of the product. Staff attended a webinar put on by the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure on the modernization of the Highways Act. From our perspective, they're aiming to make processes more efficient by putting some more power into the minister's realm and removing the executive council from operational issues. They also are clarifying the roles between municipalities and the province in light of this year's reforms. The department is also digitizing some of their information. Within a year to 18 months, more detailed maps of their infrastructure will be available online. However, there did not appear to be a shift in policies that would allow for more investment in the roads. Thank you to Public Works for their seasonal magic, to Kevin Simmons for all the work and fundraising he organizes for the Lobster Trap Tree, to the BIA entrepreneurs who took the time to decorate their shops, and to the Christmas Committee who has been organizing events since July. Everything looks fantastic and truly heightens the Christmas spirit downtown. I'd like to add that we're adding a third weekend this weekend with even more events. So this is extended for those that haven't had a chance or want to continue with the Christmas celebrations. A reminder that the winter parking ban on municipal streets is now in effect until March 31st and is from 2 to 7 a.m. We have been issuing warning placards to several vehicles, but our next step will be to tow vehicles to either St. Stephen or St. George, depending on where the tow company is located. With the budget now approved, staff are working on next year's projects and initiatives. We will keep you updated through my weekly emails and council meetings. Under services, the leaf bag service is now completed for the season. Moving forward, please put the bags out with the regular garbage pickup, respecting the 10-bag maximum. We'll be picking up the Christmas trees throughout the month of January, real ones. However, we need residents to be mindful that if there is an impending snowfall, not to put them out until the roads are cleared. Otherwise, they get buried until the spring and become a driving nuisance to you and to those on the road. The fire chief and some of his volunteers attended the annual fire conference put on by the fire marshal's office. This is an opportunity to learn more about emerging technologies and best practices and to learn about ever-changing legislation and the national fire codes. The clerk has been busy putting together 2 requests for proposals that will be reviewed soon. One is in relation to a compost study to determine the viability of such an initiative within the town, as well as the energy study to review how to increase efficiencies in our top 5 power consuming facilities. Both are mostly funded by other levels of government. As a reminder, Town Hall is closed between Christmas and New Year's, but staff can be contacted through our dispatch service for emergencies, which is by chief just by calling the office number and hitting 2, I think. As a reminder, we'll skip that one again. The recreation manager had a glow skate, which was a public skate with music and black lights. It was an overwhelming success as we had over 180 attended, and it'll be going on again on December 29th. He is working on other events over the winter, and with the 2024 budget approved, next year will be much busier. In conclusion, 2023 was a major transition year that, despite a few hiccups, went relatively well. As we go into 2024, staff will look at being proactive and soliciting ideas from the public on your needs and wants. We are always open to either written or verbal discussion, but for some, that can be daunting. I want to extend a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all our citizens that the staff and I have the opportunity to serve. Respectfully submitted, Chris Spear, Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. That being his report, I ask for someone to cover the staff reports, financial report. Counselor Heenan first, and I need a seconder. Counselor Harland. The question, all those in favor for the reports passed, aye, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Can I omit something? No. I didn't see the mayor's hand. Did he?
Sorry, Your Worship, that's okay to approve them. Just, we should have asked first if there's any questions about the staff
I'm sorry.
reports for moving.
I'm sorry. Are there
Rarely
any
expected to check.
questions for the staff report? Okay. Thank you very much. Counselor, oh, sorry. Counselor Weir?
Your turn.
Keep pointing at me. Since we are coming up on the year end, and it doesn't appear as though we're gonna have a surplus, but if we do have a surplus, will we be in a position to transfer some of it to a reserve? Will there be a special meeting called? I realize there has to be a motion and.
Sorry, I was talking about two things here. So it's actually yes and no. We had a lot of reserve funds that were going to be taken out this year. And so we're just going to take out a lot less because of some of the surplus. Our next meeting is going to be on the 11th. So a week from tonight, which would be a fairly short meeting. We'll bring you up to date financials and we'll provide some projections at that point in time. And staff will just work diligently between now and Wednesday afternoon to finalize those, as they're about 3/4 done. We just have to see how we did towards the end of the last year and deal with this white stuff that came a little bit earlier than hoped. But the reserves will be in better shape than we originally hoped.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor Weir, and thank you, Mr. Spear, for responding. So we've passed them and we'll move on to I, which is in the introduction and consideration and passing of bylaws and motions. And the first one is finance and administration, which is usually me, but I asked Counselor Harlan to do my position, but I did forget to tell her we're going to table it. So I'm sorry. We're going to table part of it, but please read. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Akji. So this is reference number FA 231017. Bylaw number 23-06, a procedural bylaw for the organization and operation of the Council of St. Andrews, second and third reading. The background is as follows. Council has been moving through the bylaw process for bylaw number 23-06, a procedural bylaw for the organization and operation of the Council of St. Andrews. Council has proposed several changes to the procedures of council from the current bylaw number 16-03. The following steps have been taken in the bylaw process. Number 1, public hearing of objections, November 22nd, 2023. Number 2, first reading, November 22nd, 2023. Second reading and third and final reading. There were no comments from the public during the public hearing of objections. Council can now move to the second and third reading of this bylaw. So the motion is as follows, that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews grants leave for the second reading to bylaw number 23-06, a procedural bylaw for the organization and operation of the Council of St. Andrews, and I so move.
Don't do the second. Okay, so you have moved, Counselor Hartland. You need a seconder. Okay. Neil, is there for, so any questions on this right now? And Mr. Spear? Oh, the mayor. He's trying to.
Yeah, sorry, I'll just move to table this. Staff was looking to do a legal review on a couple of things. Since this isn't what I call necessarily urgent, I would say that we should just table it until staff has had a proper,
Thank you, Mayor Henderson.
A second motion to table this.
Okay. Do we have a motion to table this?
Deputy Mayor, I just don't know if your mic's on, sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Thank you very much, Councillor Blanchard, and thank you, Mayor, for bringing this forward. We were going to table it and we are. And the seconder is Councillor Bennett. And so any other questions for Mr. Spear? All right, so all those in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? So it's carried. So that being tabled, we move on to the next one, which is Public Works. There are none for Councillor Blanchard, so we're into Public Safety with Councillor Neal.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is reference number PS 231209, and it refers to the policy P-23-03, the Town of St. Andrews Children and Vulnerable Persons Policy. The background reads that staff have been working through a new policy as it concerns the safety and welfare of children and vulnerable persons participating in programs or services of the community. Policy P-23-03, the Town of St. Andrews Children and Vulnerable Persons Policy, focuses on safeguarding these populations, and the town recognizes its responsibility to promote safe environments and practices to avoid abuse or exploitation. Please see the attached policy for more details. The policy outlines a policy statement, roles and responsibilities, the code of conduct for the protection of children and vulnerable persons, the duty to report procedure for suspected abuse and neglect of a child or vulnerable person, recruiting, screening, and training of staff or volunteers, managing an allegation, complaint, or claim of abuse against the staff or volunteer, contacts and other resources, a child and vulnerable policy sign-off sheet, and the duty to report suspected abuse procedure. It is staff's recommendation to have this policy added to the town policies and included in our human resource process. So the motion is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves policy P-23-03, the Town of St. Andrews Children and Vulnerable Persons Policy, and I so move, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Neal. I need a seconder. We need a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Any questions or comments? Yes. Councillor,
Yeah, like
Mr. Spear,
sorry, go ahead, Councillor Neil.
Councillor Neal, you go first.
I was just again going to make a motion to table this motion as I guess some new information has come to light, and we just want to give staff the opportunity to give us the most updated version of the policy.
We now have a motion to table this. Seconder, Councillor Bennett. Any more discussion on this tabling? Mr. Spear, sorry.
Sorry, Your Worship. Thank you to Councillor Neil. I was just going to remind, but just for those that might be watching at home, just between when the council packages released on Wednesday, we had some more discussions and more input from other councillors. Instead of trying to do a whole bunch of amendments that could take half the night, we're just going to bring this particular one, which is very important, back next meeting. We just have a couple of things to make, so we're going to be meeting on the 11th. And this one we brought forward, the procedural bylaw. We just did a deep delve since Wednesday on it, and there's just 2 or 3 things that had to be looked at. And again, it would have added a lot of time to try to amend. There's like a 30-page document over tonight. So we're going to have discussions with council early in the new year and then update it some. There won't be a lot of vast changes, but there are going to be some changes within both policies to make them stronger.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Councillor Weir?
Yes, just one quick question on this, this policy. I don't have a problem with it, but with all the problems in Canada right now with parental rights and interfering and those types of things, have we run this by legal at all, or?
Yes, we've run it through our insurance company who are quite insistent we put something in place with the reality of what's going to happen in this world we're living in right now. And so they actually made some suggestions before we even brought it to up. And I want to thank Councillor Harlan too. We asked her to have a look at it too, because it's a specialty in the workforce in her previous life. So we just want to combine them. I will, with her recommendations, run it through one more time, but they did have a look at the draft that hasn't had very many changes since, and we're happy with what we saw.
Okay, Counselor Weir. Thank you, Mr. Spear. Thank you, Counselor Harlan, for doing that. And so, are you ready for the question to table this? All those in favor? Say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. And you continue on, Mr. Counselor Neal.
Thank you, Your Worship. The next one is reference number PS 231210. This is the RCMP MPSA continuation and increase in members. And the background is, with the recent local governance reform, the town of St. Andrews has been working on the municipal police services agreement with the other 5 MPSA contract communities in New Brunswick. Each community wishes to continue under the MPSA with the expansion of the new municipal boundaries. As such, the town has to formally acknowledge the intention to continue under the MPSA contract and with the adjusted level of member officers. Provided are 2 draft letters that outline the town of St. Andrews' intent to remain in the MPSA and to add 2 members to the agreement. So the first motion reads that the council of the town of St. Andrews approves the intent to remain in the municipal police service agreement with the federal government, and I so move, Your Worship.
Thank you, Counselor Neal. We need a seconder. Seconded by Counselor Bennett, just by a hair. Any discussion on this? Okay, ready for the question? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? That includes Counselor Blanchard. Okay, so it's carried. Your second motion, Counselor Neal.
And the second motion is that the council of the town of St. Andrews formally requests an increase of 2 member officers be added to the complement of the 3 officers serving under the municipal police service agreement for the town of St. Andrews, and I so move.
Thank you very much, Counselor Neal. Seconder? Counselor Harland. Any more discussion, council? Mr. You first? Mr. Weir, Counselor Weir, sorry.
Sorry, I seem to have a question on everything. From what I understand, we're asking for 2 more officers, but we probably will not get 2 more officers. It'll remain the same. Police coverage.
Counselor Spear? I mean, Mr. Spear? Sorry.
That's essentially right,
Yes.
Councillor Weir. This really is an accounting motion. The truth be told, like we said, we're in 2 contracts right now, the provincial service agreement for Bayside and Shamcook, and then the old town of St. Andrews is still under the municipal policing arrangement. So this is consolidating them all into the municipal one, which does give us some more powers. But the number of officers that will be assigned are just going to be moving from the St. Stephen detachment over to the St. Andrews detachment. So it'll be the same people, just under one umbrella instead of 2.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Is that sufficient, Counselor Weir? Counselor Bennett, question?
Thank you, Your Worship.
comment?
Maybe CEO can just confirm something. As of tonight, if someone has an issue and requires the service of the RCMP that's not urgent, and it's a non-911 emergency call, we're instructed in the outlying communities to call St. Stephen. So if under this new contract, is that something that's going to change, or would the people from Bayside and Shamcook be calling the St. Andrews detachment? Can you clarify that, please?
Sure. So the first thing I should have put in the headline is this actually won't be effective until the new quarter for the federal government, which is April the 1st. So we'll be under the old contract until at that point. This is just the start of it. Your question's a great question, and I've asked them, and it's to be determined, because they have to move officers that were assigned to St. Stephen under the St. George detachment. for your members, though, in most cases, when you call either office, you're being sent to the call center in Fredericton 90% of the time anyway, whether it's daytime hours or nighttime. So I don't think it really matters, but I've suggested to the RCMP that everything should be under the St. George detachment. You know, so all the officers are under Corporal Hanson, who we have in town here, instead of being split up. And they're saying they're take that suggestion well, but it's a federal thing that they've got to work through. And so that's why I say to be determined. That's the request, that they all fall under one detachment. And we'll know after Christmas, probably into February or March, exactly what the organization structure is going to look like.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spear, and thank you, Counselor Bennett. We've agreed to table that, and that we move on to business, tourism, heritage and culture. Counselor Hurdle.
Yeah.
Hold on, your worship,
We did
you
not-
actually have to make the call for the 3 officers.
Oh,
You have a.
we
that
didn't
first and
vote on
secondary,
it,
you didn't vote
sorry.
on that.
Okay, so we need to vote on so all those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? He said aye, so contrary carried. Thank you. Now we're on to business, tourism, heritage and culture. Counselor Hurdle, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This is in reference to BTHC 231201, and the subject is the St. Andrews Civic Trust 12-month proposal for the Charlotte County Courthouse. And the background is at the November 22nd, 2023 regular council meeting, council was presented a proposal from the St. Andrews Civic Trust to conduct a 12-month study to provide long-term financial and sustainable suggestions for the operation of the courthouse and commons. Provided with this report is a copy of the proposal presentation. Council was supportive of the proposal presented, with the ability to meet quarterly to discuss the study and next steps. The St. Andrews Civic Trust was willing to provide recommendations to council by the end of August 2024 for consideration as it pertains to the 2025 budget process. It was also recommended to accept the Charlotte County Courthouse study conducted by Broken Shovel Consulting as information and continue the process with the St. Andrews Civic Trust. There is no cost to the town for the Civic Trust to conduct the study. And the motion before us is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews accepts the Charlotte County Courthouse Sustainable Reuse Engagement Process Report completed by Bill Hicks of Broken Shovel Consulting as information. And I so move.
Thank you, Counselor Hurdle. We need a seconder, please. Counselor Harland. Any more discussion on this, council?
Yeah, I could chime in, Deputy Mayor. For you, question for staff. It's what is the significance of accepting a report or not accepting a report? Just because in this particular case, it's really there's nothing in it that I personally support it. So I don't know why I would accept that report unless it's just a thing that we have to do. So maybe a little clarification on that.
Mr. Spear, can you clarify, please?
So, your worship, I guess in some cases, if you don't recommend or don't want to go with the recommendations, you wouldn't. However, it's part of a 2-step process, and that the Civic Trust thought there were some good recommendations within that as a framework, and that they'd like to, if you choose to proceed with their request to allow another level of engagement to come up with a longer term strategy, that they would help build that into it.
So I guess if council doesn't accept this report, we can't give it to them. I'm just wondering what the real benefit for the town of St. Andrews is to accept the report when we decided that we weren't going to, support it.
It officially enters it into the records, your council. But again, it's up for you to decide if you want to go, because it does come with some recommendations. So if it doesn't necessarily get accepted, doesn't mean everything with the courthouse stops, and that you can still do it separately. It was just a recommendation of Civic Trust that they were okay to incorporate some of their recommendations into the overall strategy that they come up with.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Mr.
Sorry,
Knopper.
through you, Madam Chair. The recommendations that are there, again, you're accepting this as information. Doesn't mean you actually fulfill the recommendations or anything. It's a baseline data and information at that point, and can be used however council sees fit. So you don't have to do any of the recommendations. You can give the information to the Civic Trust. It's just more data that can be used in the longer term. So
Thank you, Mr. Knopper. And Counselor Heenan, did you?
Yes,
like to
your
chime in?
worship and deputy mayor. I have a problem with accepting this into as even for information because we found no credence in the report. It's been told, we've had the presentation, and I just somehow don't want to, I can't heartedly put a motion through on this report. And it's just because there's no validity to it. It was very poorly written. And I think as a council, if we accept this, then we're saying it was a good report. And I don't think it was a good report. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Any other, Councillor Weir?
I concur 100% with Councillor Heenan. We had the report study done. We paid for it. It belongs to us. By saying we accept it, that means we agree with it, in my mind, and we don't necessarily agree with it. So it is ours to do as we please with. We legally paid for it, and, end of story.
Thank you, Councillor Weir. Mr. Spear?
Yeah, just a little bit of clarity, Council. I think most of you didn't agree with the recommendations on how to prolong its life. I think there's some valuable data that came from with it, data collection that has to be recognized. That data is still there, doesn't mean accepting it or not accepting it. You can't read it in the future, but there was some baseline consultation done that at least provided data for consideration for future engagement, including some of the historical aspects and some of the available funding moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Any other comments, Council? Councillor Hurdle?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I guess not to pile onto this, but if the purpose of the report was to provide us with recommendations, not to provide us with information. So the purpose of the report hasn't been met. So my thinking is if we could just not accept the report, but use the report for the Civic Trust exercise, that's still acceptable?
Yes, for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Thank you, Councillor Hurdle. Are we ready for the question? All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? 1, 2,
Aye.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 8 against and thank you. So
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The next motion is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves a working partnership with the St. Andrews Civic Trust on a proposal for a 12-month study to deliver a sustainable plan for the Charlotte County Courthouse and Commons, and that Council will receive draft recommendations from the St. Andrews Civic Trust by August 31st, 2024 for consideration during the 2025 Town of St. Andrews budget process, and I so move.
thank you, Councillor Hurdle. We need a seconder. Councillor Bennett, any more discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor, say aye. 1, 2. Contrary minded? Carried then. All right, moving right along. So there is no recreation and community services for Councillor Gromichel. And so the next one is planning and economic development, Councillor Heenan.
Thank you, Your Worship and Deputy Mayor and Council.
Sorry to interrupt, Councillor Hayden. Just for record, I'll declare a conflict of interest on the motion pertaining to Chris Evans' development.
Chris Evans.
Sorry, I
Mr.
missed
Mayor,
it.
we're not there yet. We're at bylaw 2305, but I have noted your
23.
conflict.
If you just want to give me a heads up,
Sorry, I
heads up
did
when
the
that
wrong
hits, then
I thought-
thanks. I'm just in the
Okay.
car, so just give me a heads up when it's time.
Yes, we
Okay,
will.
it's this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, sorry. Hang in there.
Okay. Once again, thank you, Your Worship, Deputy Mayor and Council. PED 231010, bylaw number 23-05, subdivision bylaw, second and third reading. Town staff and planners of the Southwest and New Brunswick Service Commission has been working on the creation of a new subdivision bylaw for the town of St. Andrews. Provided with this report is a copy of the proposed bylaw number 23-05, subdivision bylaw. The new subdivision bylaw gives flexibility for varying styles of development that could be proposed in the community. The following steps have been taken by the bylaw process. One was obtain views of PAC, that was on November the 8th, 2023. Public hearing of objections, November the 22nd, 2023. First reading was November 22nd, 2023. Council received no comments during the public hearing of objections. Council can now move to the second and third reading. Note that there has been a change to the bylaw as recommended by the planners to include the suggested changes by the Planning Advisory Committee and the addition of aerial shots of the road standard examples. This provides more visual representation and understandings of the road's design as presented. The first motion is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews grants leave for the second reading to bylaw number 23-05, subdivision bylaw for the Town of St. Andrews, and Deputy Mayor, I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. We need a seconder. Councillor Hurdle. Thank you. Any more comments on this, Council? No? Okay, all those in favor of the question, say aye.
Aye, Your Worship.
Contrary minded? Carried. He raised his hand. Can't see the mayor's, but. Okay, so I will read this by title. So this is the subdivision bylaw, number 23-05. And 1 is the subdivision bylaw. Bear with me, I gotta turn pages. 2 is standards for local subdivision roads and streets. 3.1 is standard for local collector streets. 4.1 is standard for local streets, class 1. 5.1 is standard for local streets, class 2. 6.1 is standard for local laneways. 7.1 is standard for other access, class 1. The 8.1 is standard for other access, class 2. Then there's an appendix A, and I believe that's where I stop. Just a second, I gotta go back.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll read the next motion.
Thank you very much.
Motion that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews grants leave for the third and final reading to bylaw number 23-05, subdivision bylaw for the Town of St. Andrews. I so move, Your Worship.
And we need a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Hurdle. I mean, Councillor Heenan. Councillor Hurdle has his hand up, so. Seconder. And any more discussion on this, Council? There being none, then I'll move for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? And that includes Councillor Benson. Okay, I need to read it again by title. So subdivision bylaw. 1, subdivision bylaw. 2, 2.1, I believe. A second, I gotta get the right page. Sorry. 2.1, standard for local subdivision roads and streets. 3.1, standard for local collector streets. 4.1, standard for local streets, class 1. 5.1, standard for local streets, class 2. 6.1, standard for local laneways. 7.1, standard for other access, class 1. 8.1, standard for other access, class 2, and the appendix A. So we have read these tonight, so they'll be included in the list. And we move on to Councillor Heenan again.
Mr. Mayor, you would step out at this time, I believe.
Mr. Mayor, you have to
Thank
go
you.
offline.
Thank you. Will do. Thanks.
Thanks very
Thank you,
much.
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Council. Reference number PED 231208. Public hearing of objections for amendment Z 22-04 for the rezoning of Stonewall Place PID 0132524 Evans Land Development Limited. The background reads, the town of St. Andrews has been working with the developers from Evans Land Development Limited for the creation of a subdivision at PID 0132524 known as Stonewall Place. The location is at the intersection of the Bar and Mowat Drive. As per Community Planning Act, if a rezoning has not been completed within 6 months of the call for the public hearing of objections to the zoning, then another public hearing of objections is necessary before the property can continue through the bylaw process. As such, a new public hearing of objections must be set for this development. Note, Amendment Z 22-04 has had its first reading. Additionally, provided is the traffic study report completed by CBCL Limited. In summary, there were no concerns on behalf of CBCL Limited as it related to the increased traffic flow with the new developments in this area. They have provided some suggestions on traffic calming measures if council wishes to pursue them. And the first motion, Deputy Mayor, that the council of the town of St. Andrews sets the date of Monday, January the 8th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. through a public hearing of objections as per section 111 of the Community Planning Act on Amendment Z 22-04 to the zoning bylaw Z 22-01 for PID 0132524 Evans Land Development Limited. Rezoning from the SR, which is Service Residential Zone, to the MR2, which is High Density Multi-Residential Zone, to facilitate the development of an apartment complex / subdivision. I so move, Your Worship.
Thank you, Counselor Heenan. Seconder, Counselor Gumashell. Any more discussion on this, council? Counselor Hurdle.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My understanding, when looking at the traffic study that was provided by CBCL, my understanding was, well, looking at it, it's dependent on there being a perpendicular cross intersection at the Bar Road and Mowat. But as I recall, when they were presented with a proposal for the development here, that was not the case, that the entrance to Mowat from the development was actually, it was adjacent and it was not perpendicular. So if that's the case, that sort of undermines the traffic study and that undermines the results. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I thought it was at the request of council, but certainly of the planners, we actually made them move their entrance across from the Bar Road because we considered a safety risk having two fairly close entrances with only a few meters apart. So you'll see they're coming to do another public presentation, I think. Well, public hearing of objections next month, and we'll give a new plan, but we made them reconfigure their drawing to make them right across from each other. So more of a T than that offsetting.
Thank you very much, because my understanding from last time that wasn't possible due to the way that they had laid the property out. So I just wanted to make sure that we are absolutely going with a perpendicular intersection there and it's not offset.
No, 100%. So their most recent plans show it as a perfect T.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Spear, and thank you, Counselor Hurdle. Any other discussion, council? Okay, there not being any, then I ask the question. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? It's carried. Okay, and your second motion?
Thank you, Your Worship, that the council of the town of St. Andrews accepts the traffic impact study Mowat Drive and Bar Road developments from CBCL Limited of November 2023 as information. I so move.
Thank you, Counselor Heenan. We need a seconder. Counselor Harland. Any more discussion, council? Counselor Heenan.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, just in reference to what we just heard about when we go to the public hearing, should we include in this that would be an updated version in this motion? That they accept the traffic impact study, because we just spoke with Councillor Hurdle about going to change, so.
No,
do-
the counselor, Hurdle was worried that the original presentation by the developers
Right,
was that you'd have Bar Road and then several
Okay.
meters down, the entrance to the new development, but at the request of staff and the planners, the developer is okay with, they did have to reconfigure their look a little bit, but they're okay with that and align them with the Bar Road.
thank you very much, Mr. Spear. Thank you.
Through you, Madam Chair, there will be an updated site plan that's provided to council for the meeting, so you will see the
That
new
was the
layout
question
that's
I was
being
gonna
presented.
You read my mind, Mr. Knopper. Sorry, you read my mind.
Mhm.
Thank you.
No,
You, Counselor, Mr. Spear, sorry.
and council, just CBCL is willing to come in and do a short presentation of this at some point in the future, maybe prior to the traffic bylaw update, if you so wish. It's I know some of the tables, if you're not an engineer, might be a little mind boggling because they had to explain it to me a couple of times. But so if you're wishing the new year, we can have them come down virtually or something and just kind of walk us through exactly what some of the diagrams mean.
Yes,
Okay.
That would be great. So we should do that. Yes, Counselor Heenan?
me again.
Yes.
I just think it's a very important factor in the development that we're doing there, that the public feels assured that we have it under control, because traffic seems to be the big issue with any time we talk of development in a particular area. So I really feel, I wholeheartedly feel that I would like to see a presentation perhaps before one of the open hearings, just so that people can be assured that their safety is at heart. Anyway, thank you again.
You're welcome, Counselor Heenan, and thank you for bringing that forward. And Mr. Spear, do you have something to add? No? Are you just waving at me? Okay. So we just have to hold a minute, council, while they discuss. January the 8th?
Through a software plan, so.
Okay,
See, but maybe a week between New Year's and before that. Sorry,
Yeah.
that week before New Year, the week after New Year's and before we meet on the 8th, maybe if we just have a short one item presentation at one of those evenings for an hour or less. That's what we mean by
So can
CBCL.
can we still pass this?
Yep.
And just have that, okay. All right, any other discussion before we go to the question? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. And Counselor Blanchard joined us. Carried, thank you.
Please note, Deputy Mayor,
yes.
that the item 3.
Yes,
you're
I
waiting
know.
Till after.
The item 3 that you have, Counselor Heenan, will be put into closed session. And so I'm going to skip down to J, which is new business council. There is no new business, so we will skip that and we will go to question period. Anybody have a question from the audience or online, Mr. Knopper? I'll go to you.
I've received no emails or letters online, but I'll ask the one person online sitting in Zoom. Ms. Ward, would you like to ask a question? You can raise your hand. For anybody in attendance that would like to speak to council on tonight's agenda, please raise your hand. I'm gonna say no.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Knopper. And now, Counselor, we will go to Counselor and Deputy Mayor's comments and then the Mayor's comments. So I will ask, are there any comments from the council for tonight? Oh, Counselor Harland?
I just want to say a thank you to town staff for the incredible work that they've done. I know you mentioned it, Mr. Spear, in your report, but I want to underscore what an amazing job they did in decorating the town. They go above and beyond. I do agree with Mr. Acton that the addition of the Santa Claus in front of City Hall or Town Hall has been a great addition. I've seen lots of people taking pictures. It's wonderful. It has really created a tremendous environment for our town this summer or this winter, this Christmas season, and I really appreciate all the effort. And I just encourage St. Andrews folks to take the opportunity to shop local this season. We have some amazing stores in our little town, and I know that they appreciate the support of our residents. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harlan. Councillor Heenan.
Yes, Deputy Mayor and Council, I'd like to put a big thank you out to the folks who participated in the Santa Claus Parade this year, because number one, I've heard positive remarks, and I would like to say that a little rain never dampened the spirits of St. Andrews, where other towns and cities have canceled during rain. We have gone through it and the streets were lined with people. So the town and the parade organizers deserve a big thank you, as well as our town staff, as Councillor Harlan said, deserve a huge round of applause as far as I'm concerned. And I'm very proud to say that it was a great parade. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Any other councillor? Mayor, would you like to make comments before I do? Councillor.
No, I'm good. I just wanted to just add on to that. There's a volunteer committee that puts on Christmas by the Sea, a number of different community members. And I think those volunteers, they actually meet months in advance of Christmas time. So special thank you to them as well, in addition to town staff and event organizers.
Thank you, Mayor Henderson. Any other councillor? Okay, I'd like to say thank you. I received the Order of New Brunswick, and I did give my little spiel at Lieutenant Governor's house when I received it. I was very honored that my friends and family and other people joined us. I was honored to meet the other Order of New Brunswick's recipients. It was a tremendous day for me, and I thank all those that nominated me and voted me in. I got a lot of very nice comments when I went to Lieutenant Governor's house. I have known her from before, and I've known her partner from before because she was in NBCC when I was there. So it was nice, and I got to sit with them during the dinner. Lieutenant Governor Moore, and we watched the fireworks of all the what do you call those with the electricity? Anyway, they were blowing up on the other side, and they were without power the next day because it was a very severe storm that we drove up in, and then it continued into the morning, so without power. So, but they never ran out of power, so it was great. And I thank them. I thank you and everyone else that has commented and called me and wished me good luck. I really appreciate it. And the second one, the Raymond Murphy Award that I received at UMNB, I have to thank Mr. Spear for the wonderful talk that he gave regarding me. It was overwhelming. I connected with a girl that I had graduated from university with and 50 years ago, so it was not yesterday. And so it was nice to see her. She received the other award that was given at the end of the night. But I want to thank Mr. Spear personally for such a rendition of what I have done and my merits. I think I can't do it without family, friends, and this council. I appreciate all the work that you do, and I appreciate all the support that I received from CHCO TV. They came up and videoed it. It was on Facebook before I ever got home, so everybody knew, and I just want to thank whoever put it on there. And I want to thank my family for coming. I want to thank you, the people. So I really appreciate all the good calls and whatnot that I've been receiving. It has certainly made me very humble that I received it. But as my friend said, I guess I really deserved it. So thank you very much. I appreciate that so much. And so we have come to the conclusion of our, well, to the closed session, which is at 7:50 p.m. Council moved into closed session per the Local Governance Act, Section 68(1)(c) and Section 68(1)(d). Section 68(1)(c), information that could cause financial loss or gain to a person or the local government, or could jeopardize negotiations leading to an agreement or contract, and also 68(1)(d), the proposal or pending acquisition of land. So I need a mover and a seconder. So I have Councillor Neal and I have Councillor Gumashel. Any discussion? No? So all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Contrary minded? Carried. So we'll be moving into closed session as soon as the TV is able to shut down, and then we will open again later and close. Thank you very much. Okay. All right, I need a mover and a seconder to come out of Councillor Neal and Councillor Weir. Ready for the question? All those in favor to come out of closed session at 8:50, please say aye. Contrary minded? So we're out of closed session, and now we need to go to the motion, correct?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mayor,
Councillor Heenan?
Council. PED 231209, Housing Hub of New Brunswick Partnership Opportunity. Council had a presentation from Mylene Vincent, Chief Development Officer for Housing Hub of New Brunswick, on potential partnership to develop the land behind the New Brunswick Community College. As part of the process, the town would have to sign into an agreement with Housing Hub of New Brunswick. Please see the attached document for details. Additionally, as part of the process to review the land behind NBCC, a full environmental assessment 1 and 2 will need to be completed with geotechnical analysis. The partnership with Housing Hub and the work to be completed for the environmental assessments will cost the town approximately $50,000. However, there is strong opportunity that the town and the Regional Development Corporation of the Province of New Brunswick will be able to get in funding agreement to develop this land if environmental assessments are completed. Staff are working on providing a budget prior to Monday night's meeting to demonstrate the council's financial commitment to various phases. The action is motion that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews will partner with Housing Hub of New Brunswick on review and development of land behind the New Brunswick Community College. I so move.
And we need a seconder, Councillor Neal. Any further discussion?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Councillor Weir, and then Mayor, we'll do you.
I'd like
Thank
to
you.
make a motion.
Um,
I'd like to make a motion to amend the amount to $25,000, representing approximately $22,000 for the partnership and $3,000 in contingency fees for any other costs that might come up.
Okay.
My second.
So it's moved by Councillor Weir and seconded by Councillor Bennett. That the amount being
We agree with you. That's the next motion, actually.
That would be the second.
It's the second
That's
motion.
second
not the
motion.
two. Yeah,
Okay, so we don't need to do it in this one.
we'll do the amendment on the second motion.
Okay, so let's, are we done discussing council? We will, oh no, the mayor, sorry. Your worship,
No, mine was regarding the amount as well, but we'll make it the next one.
okay, thank you, your worship. All right, so let's vote on this one for the housing hub. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? And That's carried. Now we'll go to the second motion. Counselor Heenan?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, Mayor, Council. The motion is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves the expenditures of up to $50,000 for the partnership agreement with Housing Hub of New Brunswick and to conduct full environmental assessments of the land behind the New Brunswick Community College. And I so move this.
Could we have a seconder? Counselor Harland. Could that be a friendly amendment with the money? No, it has to be amended. Okay. So now you can voice your amendment, please, Counselor Weir.
I'd like to make a motion to amend the amount to $25,000 to be comprised of approximately 22 for the partnership plus $3,000 in potential ancillary costs for this partnership with New Brunswick Hub.
Seconder, please, Counselor Bennett. Okay, any further discussion on this amendment?
Sorry, just to confirm, so it broke up there on me. What was that total amendment for? How much money? Don't read the whole thing. It was
$25,000.
plus
25,000.
plus 3,000.
No,
22 plus
25,000
3.
total.
Okay, just for a point of clarity on the slide, I screenshotted her slide to the advantage of taking it on my phone, and on her slide, the budget required was $27,234. So I just wonder if we're not handcuffing ourselves with setting it at 25,000 versus 28,000, for example.
Council? The mayor suggested 28,000 instead of 25,000. Counselor Heenan?
I do remember the slide. It had 27,000 and change. So I would be willing to amend it to $30,000.
So can we talk to
Okay.
Counselor Weir? Can we just
Counselor Weir?
amend it
That'll be
to
a friendly
20?
amendment, yeah.
Go ahead.
Can we just do that friendly amendment and say, change it to 28,000, Counselor?
30.
Oh, 30. Oh, now you changed it again.
Mhm.
Okay, 30,000. Is that okay with you, Counselor Weir? Is that okay with you, Counselor Bennett? Because you seconded.
Mhm.
All right, so the friendly amendment now is the total is $30,000. Shall we, any other further discussion before we make the motion? Okay, all those in favor for $30,000, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried.
Thank you, council.
You're welcome. So now, the only motion left to do is adjournment. Thank you, Counselor Harland.
All in favor?
And seconds?
I'll second it.
Okay, Heenan. And we are done at 9 o'clock.
Call it.
Point of order,
I'm
don't we actually
sorry,
have
all
to vote
those
on
in
the original?
favor of the motion to, oh, sorry, Counselor Blanchard.
Sorry, don't we have to vote on the original motion? We amended, but don't we have to vote on the original motion?
Oh, right, we didn't do that. We didn't go back to the original motion. Thank you,
Well
Counselor.
done, Counselor Blanchard.
Very nice,
Oh,
Counselor
very good one.
Blanchard. So the original motion we have to vote on,
To 50,000.
just a second, I gotta get to my page. Okay, so the original motion that we talked about minus the $50,000. So, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Right?
Councilor Blanchard, if you're wondering, it would be going back to the original motionees. So Councilor Heenan, Councilor Harlan, are you okay with the motion as amended?
As amended.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Now
Yeah.
you can call it.
so that's, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? So the original motion is carried. All right, now we adjourned. Motion to, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. We're done
Well, that should
at
work.
9 o'clock.
Get it easy.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor.